Buckle up for a wild ride of love, mistakes, and unexpected miracles. This is Dark Voices, bringing you a story that'll tug at your heartstrings. No, Ethan said firmly, I'll look for the surrogate mother myself. Oh, really? We can ask a surrogate agency. No, I can handle it. I want to personally choose the woman who will be the biological mother of my child. All right, I understand, she said after a moment of silence. Ethan spoke again, thank you, Dr. Brianna. I appreciate your help. Of course, Ethan, call me anytime, and I'll handle the process for you, Daddy Ethan, she teased. He hung up, determined that the surrogate mother wouldn't come from an agency. He still had to sort out his criteria, but he had a few trusted staff members who could help. Soon, one of them called to say they'd found a woman willing to be a surrogate. Ethan only had her photo and background, but she seemed healthy. It felt like she'd be a good candidate to carry his child. Hold on tight, because this is where the story takes a shocking turn. Dark Voices is diving into a tale of fate and mix-ups you won't believe. He planned to bring her to one of his guest houses out of town and provide everything she needed until she gave birth. Once the baby was born, she would be paid, and he would raise his child without further involvement from her. All right, I'll call Dr. Brianna, Ethan told his staff before walking away. Hi, Ethan. Hey, tomorrow I'll have Mary Ann Reed come in. Mary Ann Reed? Brianna repeated. Yes, Mary Ann Reed will be the surrogate mother of my future child, he said. Seriously? Great, I'll take care of her, Brianna replied, and Ethan felt relieved, like a husband awaiting a baby. The surrogate hadn't even had a checkup yet, but tomorrow she would head to the hospital. Are you going to the hospital tomorrow? Emily's mom, Karen, asked. They were at their small stall at the Laurel Street Flower Market, arranging flowers. No, Mom, I'm just visiting someone, Emily lied. Oh, okay, then your dad will come help me here, Karen said. Emily forced a smile. Once she turned away, though, it vanished. She gently placed a hand on her lower abdomen. To spare her mother any worry, she hadn't mentioned she was seeing a gynecologist. Something had been troubling her, and she needed to be sure she was all right. Anxious, Emily approached the hospital, her palms pressed together. She sat in the waiting area alongside other women. One by one, they were called. Eventually, only Emily and another woman remained. This is taking forever, the other woman grumbled before standing up and leaving. At that moment, a nurse stepped out. Miss Emily Reed, you're next. Emily stood, clutching her bag. She glanced at the woman who just left, then followed the nurse inside. Dr. Brianna greeted her warmly. Hello, Miss Emily Reed, have a seat. Emily felt shy. Ethan never told me you were this pretty, Dr. Brianna murmured under her breath. Mom? Emily asked, unsure if she'd heard correctly. Oh, nothing, Miss Emily, can we start? Yes, Emily nodded, her heart pounding. Meanwhile, Ethan's heart was racing in his office. Today was the day the surrogate of his child would visit the clinic. When his phone rang, he picked up immediately. Hello, Ethan, it's Dr. Brianna. All done. Everything set with Miss Emily Reed. You can bring her to the guest house. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. This was exactly the news he'd been waiting for, that everything was ready for the woman who'd be carrying his baby. Okay, thank you, Brianna. You're welcome. If there's a problem, you know I'm just a call away, Daddy Ethan, she teased. He ended the call, then told his staff to pick up Mary Ann Reed and bring her to the guest house. Moments later, though, a shocked staff member called back. Sir, Miss Mary Ann said she never made it to the checkup. What? Dr. Brianna said the procedure is done, and she's ready to go, he answered, confused. Sir, Miss Mary Ann insists she didn't even get into the clinic. She stepped out to use the restroom, and when she came back, the nurse told her to come back tomorrow. Damn it, Ethan muttered, hanging up abruptly. His hands shook as he called Dr. Brianna. Are you still at the hospital? Yes, I'm heading to the ER right now for surgery, she said. Okay, I'll wait for you in your office. Ethan slumped into his car, gripping the steering wheel. The plan hadn't even started, and it was already a mess. If Marianne wasn't the one who got the procedure, then who was carrying his baby? Ethan, why'd you rush here? Dr. Brianna asked when she saw his tense face. Something is wrong, he said. Marianne Reed never got your procedure. What are you talking about? She looked bewildered. Ethan felt the perspiration on his forehead. Who received the procedure? Dr. Brianna swallowed. Miss Emily Reed. For Pete's sake, Ethan groaned, pressing a hand to his forehead. I'm sure you made a mistake, doctor. Yeah, I think I did, she admitted softly. I need to find her and see if it worked, Ethan said. It's entirely possible she's carrying your child. Miss Emily seemed perfectly capable, Dr. Brianna agreed. Seriously? Hands trembling, Ethan decided to hire an investigator to help him track down this Emily Reed. Meanwhile, Emily was covering her nose at the flower shop. God, that smells awful. What do you mean it smells awful? Her dad, George, asked. You've always liked these flowers. Emily froze, suddenly queasy. She clamped a hand over her mouth and dashed inside to the bathroom. George and her mother, Karen, followed. Emily, tell us the truth. Are you pregnant? Karen asked from the doorway. Emily turned off the faucet and glanced at her reflection in the mirror. Who's the father? George demanded from the living area. Do you have a boyfriend? Karen asked, eyes glistening with tears. Emily shook her head in confusion. She'd never had a boyfriend. Her nausea had started a few weeks after that hospital visit. Could that friendly doctor have done something? Who's the father? George repeated, louder. I don't know, Emily cried. How can you not know? Dad, I don't have a boyfriend, she insisted. You think you're the Virgin Mary? He fumed, grabbing her arm. Emily started crying harder, feeling helpless. Sir, we found the woman, the investigator told Ethan, who sprang into action. All right, I'm on my way, Ethan said, driving like a man possessed to the Laurel Street Flower Market. Upon arrival, his staff pointed out a young woman arranging flowers. Beautiful, but clearly not the Marianne from the photos. This was Emily Reed. Should I approach her, sir? One asked. I'll do it, Ethan sighed. Emily was on the brink of tears as she handled the roses, her parents still arguing inside about her pregnancy. She knew she'd tested positive repeatedly and was clueless as to how. Just then, she turned and nearly collided with Ethan's broad chest. Startled, she looked up at his handsome face. Ethan's throat went dry when he met her gaze. Emily Reed? He asked in a deep voice. What? Who are you? He glanced at her belly, and she instinctively stepped back. Is that the guy who got you pregnant? George thundered, lunging at Ethan, but Emily blocked her father. Dad, I don't even know him. Maybe he's here to buy flowers. I'm not here to buy flowers, Ethan said bluntly. I need to tell you something important. What is it? Who are you? Emily asked, uneasy. Ethan took a breath. Are you pregnant? Emily held her stomach protectively. Why? If you are, that baby is mine, he confessed, looking torn. You jerk! George yelled. So you're the one who got my daughter pregnant. He and a few workers charged at Ethan, who was saved only by his own staff holding them back. Stop it! Ethan shouted, catching his breath. You don't understand. I've never even touched her. How can she be pregnant if you haven't touched her? You must be crazy. Snapped Travis, a friend of Emily's who had been listening. Ethan raised both hands. Listen, Dr. Brianna, my friend, accidentally used my sample on her. Emily's eyes went wide. Could the doctor's mistake be the reason she was pregnant? George glowered. You treat my daughter like she's just someone you can experiment on. That's why I'm here, Mr. Reed, Ethan said. I'm willing to take responsibility. What do you mean? Emily asked, tearfully. Soon, they were all in the family's small living room. Dr. Brianna explained everything to her parents, who finally calmed down a bit. If you agree, Dr. Brianna said, Emily will be the surrogate of Ethan's child. Do we really have a choice? Karen asked, letting out a sigh. There's already a baby involved. We're not murderers, George added grimly. Mr. Reed, Dr. Brianna said, I'm truly sorry. It was my fault, and I'm willing to pay. But please let Ethan be a father through your daughter. George shook his head. Even if we wanted to sue, it'd be pointless. You're rich, we're not, and there's a baby involved now. It's your responsibility. He turned to Emily. What's your decision, Em? Emily locked eyes with Ethan, then quickly looked away at Dr. Brianna. I don't know. I'm really confused. It's okay, Ethan said softly. Their eyes met again. I can wait for your answer, but time's running. Your belly will start to show, and I'd like to take care of you while you're pregnant. When Ethan stepped outside, Emily nearly fainted. George rushed to steady her, and Ethan turned back. Emily, are you all right? He gently held her arm. She tried to stand upright, but the world spun, and she collapsed into him. When Emily came to, Ethan was by her side, his head leaning against the wall, eyes shut. Slowly, she sat up. Ethan moved in closer to help, but she pulled away. Their gazes clashed. Where's Mom and Dad? Emily asked. They went home to grab some of your things, Ethan replied. Emily closed her eyes, feeling guilty for dragging her parents into this. Then she looked at Ethan, who was, whether she liked it or not, the father of the baby inside her. So, where's that guest house of yours? A hint of a smile surfaced on Ethan's lips. Welcome, Em, he said, later carrying her bags inside a beautiful vacation home in Aspen. Two household helpers greeted them. Thanks for letting me stay here, she said quietly, turning to face him. It's nothing. It's my responsibility because of the baby, he replied, voice tinged with a sadness that didn't escape her. She saw him glance at her belly again. Sir, I'll take her back, one of the helpers offered. Emily frowned a little when Ethan said, I have to go. Good, go? You're leaving me here? She echoed, worried. Yes, he stammered, not expecting her reaction. That's not okay. I don't want to be alone here, Emily whispered, reaching out and grabbing Ethan's hand. He stiffened, staring down at it. Stay with me. I'm not used to being by myself, she said, only then realizing her hand was still in his. She let go instantly, her cheeks flaming. Sorry. Ethan swallowed hard, slowly curling his fingers as if to hold on to the memory of her touch. His chest felt tight. All right, I'll stay tonight, but I'm heading back to New York tomorrow. Emily's eyes lifted, surprise flickering in them. You'll stay for tonight? He repeated gently. Then he called one of the helpers. Is her room ready? Yes, sir. Okay, please show her around. Emily couldn't help stealing a glance at Ethan as she followed the helper. Thank you, she murmured. Ethan merely nodded. Later, he stepped outside to call Jacob, who immediately teased him. I heard you're in Aspen with someone. Honeymoon already? Shut up, Ethan growled. Where'd you hear that? Dr. Brianna. She said you're with a pretty girl. Ethan ended the call in annoyance, returning inside with a glass of milk. He nearly dropped it when Emily walked out of the bathroom, wearing only a towel. Ah! I'm sorry, he exclaimed, spinning around quickly. Why didn't you knock? Emily snapped, rushing to get dressed. It was the first time she'd yelled at him. Ethan felt his ears burn. Why are you yelling at me? He protested. Emily finished pulling on her blouse. And why not? Ethan clamped his mouth shut, remembering she was pregnant. He offered the milk. Here, he said, setting it on the side table. Where are you going? she asked, seeing him head for the door. I'm going to sleep in the other room, he said simply. Stay here. Sleep with me, she blurted out. He turned, frowning. What? I'm not used to sleeping alone, she admitted. My mom and I usually share a bed. Ethan sighed, scratching his head. I'm not your mother, Miss Emily, he muttered. They both fell silent, staring at each other. He felt a twinge of guilt. This was all because of a mistake he'd made with Dr. Brianna. Fine, he said at last. I'll grab my laptop. I'll be right back. Emily let out a small breath of relief, wondering what had gotten into her. She was shy, but now that she was pregnant in such a bizarre way, maybe it was natural to want the baby's father nearby. Try to understand her, Ethan, Dr. Brianna teased on the phone. She's pregnant. Maybe she's craving your company. Who knows? You two might end up together. That's not funny, Ethan snapped. She's here because of the baby. That's all. I don't believe in love anymore, Bree. It's just something people make themselves believe in. That's harsh, she replied quietly. When Ethan finally opened the door to Emily's room, he found her asleep. Softly, he took a blanket and draped it over her. From what he'd seen, she was kind, innocent, and devoted to her family. She would be a good mother. He drew in a long breath and let it out slowly, reminding himself that was the only connection between them. Early the next morning, Emily leapt out of bed and rushed to the bathroom, stomach churning. Please, go check on Miss Emily, Ethan told the helpers from where he sipped coffee on the terrace. Soon, one helper called out in alarm. Sir, she's throwing up. Ethan bolted inside. He found Emily in the bathroom, shaken. He hesitated, unsure if he should comfort her. She rinsed her mouth, eyes watering. Ethan handed her a tissue, then stepped back as she moved to the bed. Emily, how are you feeling? He asked quietly. Nauseous, she answered, sounding weak. Okay, what do you want? He crouched slightly to meet her eye. Sweet potato pie, she murmured. What? Ethan repeated, not sure he heard correctly. You know, sweet potato pie, like at Thanksgiving, with pickles on the side, she said, as though it were obvious. Ethan looked baffled. I've never heard of that combination. Anything else? That's what I want, Emily insisted firmly. If I can't have it, I won't eat. Ethan stared at her for a moment, then muttered, sweet potato pie with pickles. What the heck? Later, he nervously approached Emily, who was gazing at the beautiful aspen scenery through the window. He set a plate near her. Eat something, he urged. I ordered what you wanted, so it should be here soon, but have something for now. Emily stayed quiet for a few seconds. You really got the sweet potato pie with pickles? She finally asked, suspicious. Yes, Ethan assured her. You need to take care of yourself. He felt an odd warmth in his chest as her eyes lit up, even if just a little. Ethan's child's mother was quietly eating, so he bent down to move the glass closer to her, feeling a bit embarrassed when he realized she was watching him. I'm sorry, Ethan. For what? He asked casually, taking a seat and beginning to eat. I'm the one causing trouble here. Oh, come on. If anyone's having a hard time between the two of us, obviously it's you, Emily. They locked eyes. Good morning. They both turned at the sound of someone arriving. Ethan's expression instantly changed. What are you doing here? He asked sharply. The newcomer, his younger brother Jacob, glanced straight at Emily, who stayed seated. Hi, sister-in-law, Jacob teased and tried to move closer for a hug, but Ethan blocked him. Jacob kept smiling, though, even as Ethan stood in his way. I brought something for her, man. You're so uptight. I just wanted to say hi. Jacob pushed gently against Ethan's chest, trying to peek at the young woman behind him. Emily, Ethan said, go tell Mrs. Cooper to meet you upstairs. Sure. Emily left them. Wow, bro, Jacob said. That's exactly what I like about you. You move so quietly, and here I am telling you that you should get married and make me an uncle already. Then look at this, it's like I already have a niece or nephew on the way. Are these the purple yams and the shrimp paste she asked for? Ethan grabbed the plastic bag Jacob was holding and took a quick look inside before meeting his brother's gaze. Now get out of here. We're fine. You're not even going to introduce me? For what? So you two can get close? She's just a surrogate mother, Ethan said firmly. Jacob paused. Ethan placed a hand on his brother's shoulder and stared him in the eye. It's better if you don't form any relationship with her. Once she gives birth, she's leaving anyway. Ethan didn't notice the sadness in his own tone at the word surrogate. Long story, Jacob said thoughtfully. But one thing I realize is that you really want to be a dad. What about being a husband? Ethan stopped short. The first time I saw Emily, she seemed nice. Why not? She's only here to carry my child. Once everything's okay, I'll give her enough money to start over, Ethan cut him off. That's sad. If that's how it's going to be, then maybe I can introduce her to some of my single buddies. Ethan's eyes blazed, and Jacob laughed and gave him a hug. Why not? You said it yourself, she's just the surrogate mother of your baby, Jacob teased, stepping back. Get out, Ethan growled, pushing his brother toward the door. He knew Jacob and his friend, Dr. Brianna, were probably in cahoots about all this. Opening the door, he shoved Jacob out, then he grew serious. And don't you dare introduce her to your immature friends, he warned before slamming the door. Ethan carried the tray of food Emily had requested into her room. That smells awful, she complained. What do you mean? Didn't you say you wanted to eat this? He asked, setting it down on the side table. I don't want it anymore. Is there any ballot? Wait, Emily, you haven't even touched the food you asked for earlier, and now he trailed off when he noticed how tired she looked. Her eyes were ringed with dark circles, and it was clear she was struggling. I'll be back, he finally said, stepping outside. He looked up at the sky. He was outside their house here in Aspen's private neighborhood, wondering how he was going to find anyone selling ballot at this hour. It was next to impossible. And before he could even call himself a real father, he already felt exhausted. Hello, Brianna, he said into his phone. Yes, Ethan, where are you? You sound like you've got bad reception. I'm outside, looking for ballot, he answered blankly. He heard Dr. Brianna laugh, and he shook his head. He couldn't recall a time he'd imagined doing anything like this. That's her craving? Brianna asked. Yeah, she doesn't want the purple yams anymore. Hadn't even tasted them, actually. And now she wants ballot in the middle of the night. It's okay, Ethan. That's how it goes. Eventually, you'll get used to it, especially since she's still in her first trimester. You have to be patient. Pregnancy isn't easy. He nodded, even though she couldn't see him. He understood Emily's suffering. She wasn't prepared for this. He himself was barely prepared, so she had to be doubly anxious. That meant he had to be there, ready. Emily was on the living room couch, anxiously watching the window. Heavy rain poured, and Ethan still wasn't back. She tried not to worry, but she couldn't help it, knowing she was the reason he was out in this storm. Ethan! She rushed to open the door and met him with an umbrella. Why'd you come out? He asked, stopping in his tracks. He hurried to shield the pregnant woman from the rain. Once they were inside, he was soaked head to toe. Emily grabbed a towel and started patting him dry, looking flustered. You're drenched. I'm sorry I made you go out just to buy ballot. Ethan just watched her, noticing she seemed ashamed. She gently toweled his hair. Their gazes suddenly met, leaving them both momentarily frozen. Emily looked away, her stare landing on his lips. She automatically lowered her hand, but Ethan caught her arm, unable to speak. Without warning, he cupped her cheeks and kissed her. Emily nearly staggered backward, but Ethan's arm snaked around her waist and pulled her close. Her lips were unbelievably sweet. Oh my God, What on earth? Their older housekeeper had just walked in, dropping the pot she was holding. The crash made both Ethan and Emily jump apart, both of them breathing hard. "Sir," the housekeeper asked, "I thought she was just the surrogate mother. Why are you kissing her?" Clearly, the woman had overheard Ethan and Jacob's conversation that morning. Ethan sat on the terrace the next morning, sipping coffee and staring at the steady drizzle of rain. He couldn't stop thinking about that spur-of-the-moment kiss. Each time it crossed his mind, he wanted to smack himself. "Why did I do that?" he muttered, pressing a hand to his forehead. He couldn't tell if he regretted it or not. He'd only been moved by how worried she was about him, how that had somehow pushed him to kiss her, as if to erase both her stress and his own. He shook his head. Ridiculous, he told himself. Why would he need the lips of this accidental surrogate mother when he felt nothing special for her? "Ethan!" He jumped, spilling hot coffee on his lap upon hearing Emily's voice. "Ouch!" he exclaimed, the scalding liquid soaking his thighs. "Are you okay?" Emily asked, stepping forward. The sight of her made him automatically step back. Their eyes met, and Ethan quickly looked away. I am fine." Emily shifted her gaze outside, telling herself she wouldn't have come out of her room if she weren't worried about him, but she was too embarrassed after what had happened the night before. Silence filled the space, broken only by the patter of gentle rain. Emily shivered, hugging her arms around herself. "You should go back inside." "It's cold," Ethan pointed out. "It's okay. Mom, Dad, and Travis are stopping by. They'll be here soon." Ethan's brow furrowed at the mention of that last name. "Travis, your brother?" "No, he's a friend," she clarified. They exchanged looks. Ethan was sure that was the same guy who'd nearly punched him at the flower market. "Friend," he echoed, rolling the word around as if testing it. "Fine. Tomorrow, you have an ultrasound back in the city, okay?" Emily agreed, walking away. Just then, her parents arrived. "What a lovely place Mr. Ethan brought you to," Karen remarked, admiring the view. "Where is he, by the way?" George asked. "Maybe he's working upstairs," Emily suggested. "Is he taking good care of you?" "Maybe he's being too rough," Travis murmured, leaning close to whisper. "Stop it, he might hear," Emily warned, resting a gentle hand on his arm. Ethan cleared his throat, stepping out onto the terrace. He caught sight of Emily and Travis standing close together and forced a polite smile. "Good day, Mr. and Mrs. Sanders," he said, hands in his pockets. "Good day," Karen replied. "Sorry we dropped by unannounced." "It's fine. You can visit her anytime you want." "Are you sure you're taking good care of her, though?" Travis said with a note of sarcasm, throwing an arm around Emily's shoulders. Ethan felt his annoyance spike but forced himself to stay calm. He locked eyes with Travis. "Excuse me," he said through clenched teeth. "The only important thing to me is my child, not Emily." "What exactly are you trying to say?" Travis stood up straighter, tension rising. "Enough," Emily pleaded, standing as well and grabbing Travis's arm. That only fueled Ethan's anger. Before it could get out of control, Ethan turned on his heel and left them. Later that night, Ethan stood on his balcony, staring at the dark landscape, a glass of wine in hand. "Ethan?"